Now to go to Milimani Law Courts. My colleague Shadrach Miti is holding fort there. Good morning, Shadrach. What can you tell us about the process so far here in Nairobi? We've been doing this across the country and seemingly everything is going on well. What can you tell us about that, and especially to do with the boycott? Are there people who you have encountered who've said that they will keep off the ballot today?
Well, Betty, indeed, this is one of the 28 polling centers across the country where LSK elections are taking place. Remember, according to the arrangement, about 28 court buildings across the country have been turned into polling centers where lawyers, irrespective of where you practice or where they practice, they are converging there to elect their leaders. Leaders who already, and as per the information we have, about 37 candidates have been cleared to vie in the available 16 different elective positions within the LSK leadership. And so when we got here, Betty, our interest was to see exactly, remember previously we had the information that young lawyers had threatened to boycott this, but our observation and just looking around, we can see all people participating in this election. We have a mix of different ages from old to the young, and so we cannot authoritatively say that the boycott has been effective as such, because even the turnout here from the onlook, and even by talking to several lawyers who've been participating in these elections previously, they are saying the turnout so far is so good, and they are upbeat that at the end of the day, all will be well. But perhaps to continue and just to get exactly how this is on, we remember in the post of the LSK president, we have two able competitors. That is Mr. James Mwamu, who is a Kisumu-based lawyer, and Alan Gishui, who is a Nairobi-based lawyer, who are going to square it out. And remember, these two, the squaring out of these two reminds us of another. It is like a rematch of sort, because about 2 years ago, they had a go at each other where Mr. Mwamu emerged number 2 and Mr. Allan emerged number 3 in a race that saw the current LSK chairperson Isaac Okero emerge the winner. But perhaps just to get exactly what and how everything feels, we are joined by Mr. James Mwamu, who is going to tell us how he feels the day looks like and what he expects from this. Karibu sana, Mr. Mwamu, to KTN News, and what is your take of this day?
I think that our members have turned out in very large numbers, which is very impressive. And I think this is a sign that democracy is at work in the law society. We hope that even after voting, the counting and the counting of ballots is going to go on well. But we will ask as many lawyers, as many advocates as possible across the country to leave their offices, to leave their chambers and finish their matters in court, to go and vote, and to vote for the presidential elections. Of course, I will also be urging my supporters to come out and vote for the right person, and they know who the right person is. That is James Aggrey Mwamu. But so far, I think everything is fine. We hope that the turnout is going to continue being big the way it is. All the stations opened in time, and we hope for the best.
Now, we know these elections are happening when there is so much criticism against the LSK that it seems to be a house divided, that ethnic and political and ethnic issues seem to have permeated deep into the society, and that unlike in the past where LSK seem to speak in one voice, nowadays it's not as such. When the chair says this, the deputy says the other. And so what do you think should be done? And even should you clinch this seat, what will you do to ensure that LSK regain its previous glory?
Now, one of the things that I will do is, one is sometimes some of these things is because there is lack of consultation. So the first thing that I will do is to consult with my council as much as I can. But of course, I believe that the council recognizes that the spokesperson of the Law Society, according to the Act, is the president of the Law Society. So after consulting, I will do the right thing. The other thing is that the issue of division should not, politics should not be something to divide us, because if you look at the Section 4 of the Law Society Act, it outlines clearly what the Law Society is supposed to stand for. So I do not, as a leader who has been also the president of East African Law Society, foresee a situation where we are going to have that kind of division. We will do the right thing. The only thing that we are going to stay away is taking partisan political positions. But on the professional pronouncements, issues of the rule of law, the independence of the judiciary, and the separation of powers, those ones we are going to pronounce ourselves very, very loudly on those principles, which we think are key and at the core of the Law Society of Kenya Act.
Now, young lawyers had threatened to boycott these elections on grounds that the LSK Act is discriminative in a way that only people who have practiced for 15 years and over are the ones allowed to vie for presidency. But the same act again says anyone who has served on the council can be allowed to vie. So don't you think the young lawyers have a point, and what do you think should be done? Do you also agree that there's a problem with that act?
Yeah, I think the young lawyers had a genuine concern about the issue of the way the 15 years and the 2 years. However, the matter went to court. The court determined it. The matter again went to the Court of Appeal, and the Court of Appeal ruled that the elections are supposed to go on. I have already stated that when I take over as the president of the Law Society, we will allow the young lawyers to table a motion to relook at some of these things. I don't think that is really an issue that should divide us. I believe genuinely that they have a concern, but that should not divide us. We will allow for a motion to come so that the members of the Law Society can decide on that particular motion whether to scrap off the 15-year and the 2-year. So that is something that us, as Team WAMU, we are prepared to listen to young lawyers. And I would urge young lawyers who are across the country that please don't stay in the house. Come out and vote in large numbers, because your voice can only be heard when you come out and vote for your presidential candidate.
Thank you very much. Mr. James Mwamu talking to us. I remember, Betty, the registered members of LSK are about 9,000. And so it's expected that at the end of the day, the whole 9,000, about 9,010 lawyers practicing in this country will be participating in this to ensure that the LSK gets a new leadership. And so far, maybe what we should mention is that, Betty, once every voting has been undertaken in the entire 28 stations, the same result shall be transmitted electronically to the LSK headquarters in Lavington, where tallying shall be done before the declaration of a winner shall be done by the returning officer over there. Back to you, Betty.
All right, Shadrach Meaty there, reporting from the Milimani local.